manage. But I'll show you a couple of things how to adapt to double bass drum as well. Okay. Yeah, the first thing is, I mean, you know, you've got your one bass drum, you know what to do with that, that's fine. Then you've got this bass drum, and you think, well, what am I going to do with this one? You know, well, I know I can do. That's all right. So, you know, use it that way. That's okay. You know. What else can I do with it? So, what I try to do, I've treated it like a snare drum. The snare drum can go. Bass drum should do that. I thought, well, how do we train the feet to be like the hands? Because they're very different things, obviously. I mean, they've got shoes on, fingers are not quite as long. They're not as supple as hands are. But I thought, well, we've got to find a way of making it work. So I adapted straightforward hand exercises, just like I was doing. And then a double pound bill. And then maybe a double stroke. And then maybe double with one and one with the other. And then I just used to play. I mean, like when I'm doing a solo, I would copy what the snare drum does. So say if I go. So that's really, you know, how to, you know, thought of how to, you know, use the two bass drums. Yes?
If you've got your top and bottom skins the same on your toms, obviously you're not sacrificing any tension on the top skin for miking up. Or are you sacrificing any tension? Any less tension than you would desire for the miking up situation?
No, I don't think so. What's it got to do with the microphone?
Well, it has been explained to me once before that, you know, in a miking up situation, with this particular drummer on this kit, that to get...
This particular drummer?
No, with the particular drummer.
Yeah.
Right, that the best sound was achieved out front. Or to get that good sound out front, he had to sacrifice a bit of tension on the top skins. Do you think that's maybe the mics you're using, or
no? This chap, can you hear this chap's question? Yeah. No. Okay. He's asking me about the tension of the drum head, whether it affects what the mic does to the drum. Am I sacrificing any head tension, you know, for the microphone? The answer is absolutely no. This microphone, all it does is make this drum louder. That's the whole reason for these things to be, and there's no other reason that a PA system should do anything else. The reason that we invest, I mean, thousands of dollars into these you know, huge rigs is to get the clearest, cleanest, most realistic sound possible. You know, you have a drum kit that you've tuned, the mic should go on it, and it should sound good. Okay, I know that doesn't always work, and it takes a long time to understand what a microphone really does. It does change the sound. This table will change it. The input channels on this desk over there will change the sound, depending on what type of desk it is. What generally happens, especially in a live situation, is these drums sound deeper and bigger once they're amplified. So that's why you can actually tune your drums quite high. And out front, they'll still sound massive. I remember actually Ringo Starr. He came up to me after I was playing the Arms concert at the Albert Hall, and he said the tom-tom sound was like, he said he couldn't believe it. He'd never heard tom-toms like that. And he said, you know, how do you tune them? I said, well, actually, Ringo, they're very tight, they're very high. But I knew that because I mean, I've been out front many times and experimented with mics and drum kits for years. But that's one of the things you can get away with as a drummer. So many people, so many drum kits I'm playing at clubs and things, they've got thick drum heads on it, gaffer tape all over them. I mean, it's hard to hit for a start. There's no dynamics, there's one level. You hit them soft, it sounds like that. You know, you've got to hit them really hard. You're taking all the dynamics away from the drum kit. And all the guy up front's doing is boosting his mic gain. There's not enough volume coming off this. So he puts the mic gain up with the microphone, and then you get more rings. It's louder, that's why. Then you have to put more gaffer tape on. You know, and you go around in circles. And then you get into a lot of other problems, a lot of technical problems, phase cancellation. If these mics are too hot, you get a lot of phase problems. Because this mic is hearing, not just this drum, it's hearing loads of others. See, do you see what I mean? I mean, that microphone here is this simple. But the way that I've even set the drum kit on. I did set the drum kit. So it's actually has sort of been designed to mic it up. Not only from a playing point of view, and not only for this Z-Hand business with the tom-toms, I actually even designed a way where I put things, so from an engineer's point of view, it would be easier to mic. And, you know, this mic, this is probably the most problematical one. That's going to pick up a lot of ride syndrome. But at least it's a fair amount of distance away. The hi-hat will probably pick up a lot of snare drum. But it has been, the whole kit has been designed to, you know, to mic up. So I really wouldn't, I know it is difficult to, you know, a lot of people have heard drum kits when they ring and they don't sound very nice if they're ringing wrongly. But if they're ringing rightly, wonderful grammar, they sound fantastic. That's the difference. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you what the drum kit sounds like, totally acoustic. Let's switch off the front panels and the monitor and this little mic as well. So, put it back on now. So there you go, you hear the drum kit totally acoustic. Okay, now there is a difference, obviously. You'll have to tell me, I'm sitting back there. you can see the difference in the, obviously. But I think it's quite interesting to see how the drum kit is tuned, how it projects with, even, and this is a pretty dead room. It's a bit of a slappy room, but it's dead. If the roof was higher, it'd be a nice little more like a, you know, concert hall, and these would really project. But even with, you know, carpet, you know, which I hate carpet anyway, that's why I've got this chipboard here to play it. You know, it does project, and part of that is to do with the tuning. Yes?
Where did you first start practicing? Like, did you practice at home with your parents, or?
Where did I first start practicing? Yes, to the dismay of my parents, it was at home, yes. Yes. Very loud, and I was very lucky to be able to play at home, I suppose. But yes, it was all at home.
What, in your shed or?
No, in the house, in the lounge. Yes.
Do you get your solo ideas from anyone in particular, or do you just muck around and you find a good solo idea?
Do I get my solo ideas from anyone in particular, or do I just muck around and basically, yeah. No, obviously, a lot of the playing has come from listening to a lot of different people. And by listening to people and copying them, you slowly develop your own style. There are various styles which you can go into. You could say you could go into a slightly more Tony Williams style, slightly more loose playing. You could go into a slightly more Colton style, tight, you know, with spiky. You could even go into Luke Belson style, you know. And I think in that solo, there's probably quite a lot of different styles, because basically there's no other musicians here. I've got to make all the music here. So I'm trying to sort of, when I do a solo, I'm trying desperately not to be boring. I'm trying to entertain. I'm trying to give as many different ideas and different ways of playing a drum kit as you can, you know. But, as you say, am I sort of just mucking about? Well, in a way, yes. I mean, when I come out, I haven't got a clue what I'm going to play. I just sort of come in, sit down and start playing. A lot of it has to do with the type of sound I'm getting, because I play very much off sound. If we were in a nice big concert hall, I'd probably play a little bit differently, because you could do things which the room wouldn't allow you to do. In this situation, it's slightly sort of flat. It's a toppy sound, but a flatter sound. So I play a different way. I basically come out and start playing, and a little bit is sort of seeing what reaction I get from the audience, see, you know, what happens. And, do you know what I mean? So it's very loose, and that goes for if I'm doing a solo at the Buddha Carnage Beck or Big Dome with Mick Jagger. It's exactly the same. The musicians leave the stage and I start playing, and it's different every night. One, because I also like to try and keep the musicians entertained, so they're not going, see, you know, because I mean, drum solos can be awful, you know, really boring. I suppose I'm really conscious about. I'm often, when I'm playing, I often sort of think of myself as being out there, you know, looking and listening and seeing what's happening. So it's a mixture. Yes?
How many hours of practice do you do a day?
How many hours of practice do I do a day? Well, I think that, and the lady over there asked me that question. It's sort of, on the road, you really can't practice that much when you're touring, like now. When I was a kid, I used to get up and play in the morning. So that was cool time, but I didn't annoy anybody. But I would only play for maybe an hour, 2 hours at the most. But I was very young, and I would stop playing, get my cowboy gun, and playing outside, do you know what I mean? Because that's the age I was. I was still, you know, still going to school, doing homework, and then just playing. I'd go to school, come back from school, first thing I'd do was play the drums, but only for about an hour. It wasn't big long stretches of playing. And I think that's quite important. You want to try and fit in something very constructive into a short space of time. It's a loud instrument for a start. You really start, you know, going numb, chords and things in your ears. It's important to keep fresh, but also it is important, you know, to put the hours in as well. I think you have to find a good thing. Yes.
When you're in the studio, when you say like Avignola or Jeff Beck, do you have charts that you read in the studio, or do you sit down and work with the guys and work something out together? Or?
Okay. This chap here asked, if I'm in the studio with people like Jeff Beck, Stanley Parker, Alvin Viola, do we read charts or do we sit down and work it out? How many people here are studio players? How many people here who are drummers can read music, read drum music? Now, how many people who play drums and don't read music and don't want to read music? When we work with those guys, let's go back 10 years, because nowadays it's a little different. In the late 70s, 80s, we were still in a situation where, for that sort of music, we would all play together at the same time in the same studio. But we would very rarely use charts. Some of the other musicians would write crib sheets, chords, sometimes like their chord charts. Very rarely would you ever get something written out. Now, people like Pete Townsend and Jeff, I mean, you'd never get anything written. You just listen to the demo. In the case of Jeff's album, well, I wrote some of the material anyway, so I knew it. But we actually did write a part out for the bass player because he hadn't played it before. So it is very much of a mixture. Nowadays it's very different because you very rarely play a song together. For most people, it's like 2 people or 3 people, and it's usually done separately. When I turn up to do record days, it's just me. I don't need anybody these days. You know? And they, instead of putting the demo on, they put the finished master on. It's got drums, it's got everything on it. And it's just that they thought, oh, well, the drum machine sounds a bit, you know, a bit tame now, we ought to get real drums onto it. So they play it back to me, and I listen to all the music, and I think, great, lovely, all right. The first thing I do is get them to take the drums away. And I don't even play to a click either. I just play to the music. It's very important. How many people here play to a click track? And no doubt a very loud cowbell in the middle of your head with a pair of hands on it, yeah? Which is doing wonders for your hearing anyway. One thing which you should try is to not use a click track. Because the whole thing about playing music anyway, I know even today, is you have to have big ears. Especially a drummer. You need to have huge ears. The last person you want to hear is yourself. You know what you're playing, you can feel that. But you really got to hear what everybody else is doing. Now, if you put a click here, you're basically putting another drummer in your hands or in your monitors. To play with it, you have to have that click really loud. It's got to be deafening. In fact, it drowns out everything else in the hands. So you've got small ears again. You only listen to this thing right in the middle of your head, you know, which you're hopefully trying to stick to. Try taking it out of the hands completely. Try playing with just the music, playing with a sequence bass or a sequence keyboard or a sequence whatever. Or even if it's you know, guitar, bass and vocals that have been laid to a drum machine. Take the drum machine away. Try playing to just the music. It's hard, it's difficult at first. But one thing that's really nice is that you really play with the instruments. And you really get used to being your own time again. That's what I do on all recording. I'd always keep it. I'd always keep it, you know, everything up the hands, just have the music in the hands. Give it a go. Who hasn't asked that question? You haven't asked one, have you? Go on.
Do you believe in hitting over different parts of the drum, or you know, or do you just like hitting on the same part of the drum just to get the same sound all the time?
Do I hit different parts of the drum, or do I hit the same part of the drum? I'll try and show you. If I'm playing a backbeat, it would always be in the same part of the drum. The pedal would always be in the same part as well. If I'm doing sort of fairly simple, but sort of loud tom-tom fills, then I would hit the same part of the drum as well. the snare drum, if I were playing softly, I would move off the centre. Especially with two sticks. If I was in the centre, okay, there's a slight difference in sound. I'll try and demonstrate something where I'm playing a little. There's not much difference, but there's a little kind of inch or so. It's really interesting watching it. It only moves about that much. The big difference is really how I'm hitting the drum. The backbeat is hit with the tip and the rim. Okay, the whole stick is just going whack. The little notes are just the tip. Two types of pick. With the tom-toms, you can either be, again, with the tip or with the edge. So, it's very much dynamic here. That's just thrashing. You know, everything's hitting everything. But I suppose, really, actually the tip does tend to hit the middle. When you're running around toms wildly, occasionally you get a few wild hits. But that's life. But generally, if you look at my drum heads after I play with them, most of the marks are sort of within a, you know, sort of 6-inch, 5-inch radius. If you start doing things like this, you know, you're bound to hit the odd bit of the drum occasionally. But generally, yes, it's in the middle. And cymbals is really important. In fact, there's probably more movement on the cymbals, like the right cymbal. You've got the tip, you've got the... So yeah, on the cymbals there's a lot of movement. Yeah. I tend to get the drums fairly square, fairly in the middle. It's just different types of, I suppose, the angle of the stick. Okay, last question.
Do you have different criteria for the cymbals that you use in the studio and the cymbals that you use live?
Do you mean do I use a different set? Do I have different, yeah, that's a good question, different criteria for the type of cymbals that I use in the studio, the type of cymbals that I use live? The crash cymbals, no. I use very thin crash cymbals. It took a long while for me to get to that stage. I used to use very heavy ones, thinking that heavy equals loud. But no, I find, I mean, these ones you can, they're so thin. And also, it'll help them not to crack, because thick cymbals will crack because they're very brittle. These will just bend, which is rather nice when you get a little bent cymbal. So they would stay the same in a studio. In fact, this is in fact, I mean, I just go straight to a studio with this. The only cymbal that ever gets strange to record is... this one. This rides cymbal, but this one on the microphone. Pitch it up, on me, over there, okay. Alright, that one over there, the ride cymbal. That's the one that changes the most. And I would either use that or I would use one of these Z power rides, which are very heavy, so it's very pingy. That's probably the only one I'd change. But the hi-hats, the crashes, everything else would stay the same. I used to change cymbals when I used different weights, but now I'm using this sort of set with much thinner cymbals. I don't need to. And I also like to, when I'm recording, I like to use 2 overheads. I don't like to use 3 overheads because I suppose I'm a bit old-fashioned here. There's so many mics on the rest of the kit. I like to at least have one that goes left and one that goes right. You know, very simple. If you put other microphones into the stereo picture, you get other problems. You get phase problems. And it doesn't sound as natural, it doesn't sound as nice. So I've spent ages trying to get a position for the 2 overheads to pick up a very wide drum kit. When I record, I don't usually have this one, because that's the only one that doesn't really pick up so well. So if you count from there all the way around to there, those 2 mics will pick up a really nice, simple sound. And in fact, a nice kit sound, really. Live is slightly different. You've got the problem anyway of this loud guitarist over here, bass player over there who's spinning into those, so you might as well bring them down closer anyway. You might as well use more. But essentially it's the same. It's the same drum kit, the same cymbals, same heads, same tuning for most of the albums that I do. That's how you're hearing it today, in fact. Now, you might get a record, you might get 3 records when you get home and go, well, that sounds a lot different from that one. How can the tuning be the same? Well, different studio, different engineer, different producer, different, you know, and on it goes. But basically, it's the same drum kit. Okay, well, listen, that's enough questions and things. We're going to have a little draw, I think. Right, I'll leave that to this.
If you've got your door ticket that you got when you come in, if you want to find that. While you're finding that, I just want to mention that there's in fact a special on Simon on Friday, June the 3rd on Triple M FM, which is 93.7, between 9:30 and 11 o'clock, when they're going to be playing a selection of songs that Simon's played on, plus they'll be playing some of the new CD, his solo album, plus there's an interview that he did earlier today. So that's on Triple M FM, which is 93.7, on Friday the 3rd of June. And I'm still on English time, so I haven't got a clue. That's next Friday? Yeah, okay, we'll get someone that we'll get this wonderful poster that I was privileged to be at. This was a great day when we took this photograph. It was a good day. And they'll sign it, so whoever wins it will be personally signed to you by Simon. Kurt.
You are? Oh, I? Oh.
Donkey.
Get my one, get my one, get my one.
We'll read it out. D 50.
What colour is it?
Oh. Blue and green. Sort of a bluey green type thing. It's a D51.
Whoa!
Sorry.
John Reynolds.
It's a Ferrari test watch.
Did it go a winner? Yeah. Hang on, I've lost this kid.
Pick another one. Pick another one.
We've got a running one.
There's someone in there.
It's a green one. Look, D51, it's a green one. We'll buy you a bit. It's a green one.
It's the wrong colour, the wrong number. I'm colourblind.
It's D51. It's D51, it's a green one. I'll buy you a bit. Oh, incidentally, afterwards, there's supper and stuff available. There's food and stuff if anybody wants anything after. I've been asked to tell you. Anybody got D51? It's a green one. You get consistency. Has anybody got it or not?
I lost it.
No. We'll go for another one. Stay there, you might be laughing.
I've got D39.
Can you see yellow?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right. D33.
D33 on a yellow.
There it is.
Hey, you got your own show on TV or something? I've got to work with the people, I can get you a show, you're great.
And it went before it came on for me.
Where's all these people gone?
Here he is.
No, he's got his beer. 3 pints of lager and a straight glass. Well, we're going to have a third time lucky. Stay there.
Get on out.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. The white one is E78.
E78. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, here he comes. Yeah, look. Yay! Young Brett, my name. Look at that. Brilliant, yeah. Play the drums? Play the drums? Great.
There you go.
What a boy. Right, put him down.
Right.
Okay.
So, now, does anybody want to hear you play any particular grooves or any records?
Ivy Davis! Oh, come on.
What is their album?
Well, I didn't play them. I'm talking about stuff that I play.
Oh, I play your favourite beat. An easy one.
Star Trekkers.
Go on.
Some of your songs.
Go on.
Smoke on the wire.
Not the bass to it, you know. Give blood. Give blood. Look at that. Sorry? Give blood. What's the other one? Dentistry. Space 3D. Okay. Well, listen, thanks very much for coming. It's been very enjoyable. I'm going to play a little bit more, make a lot more noise, and thank you. It's been wonderful. Space boogie. Very slowly.